DreAllDay.com.
You are now tuned in to the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative. That is the go-getter energy that moves any one of us, including yourself. Yes, you. To go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together into one bundle, one package, one mindset, one method, one philosophy, one book, one show, one daily masterclass that is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is how to handle unpredictable situations. How do you handle situations where you don't quite know what's happening, and maybe you don't even know that you don't know what's happening. You find out that you're in an unpredictable situation. You're the last person to realize that it is an unpredictable situation. What do you do in those times? If any of you has been in a situation where you've been maybe traveling the world and you're in a foreign land, or even in traveling in the same country that you're from, but you don't know the area as well, and you don't quite know exactly how things are going to go. You don't know what's going to happen next, where maybe you're kind of at the behest of someone else who's kind of making the decisions as to where to go and how to do things because they know the lay of the land much better than you do. I remember playing basketball in Mexico early in my professional basketball career, and people, whenever they ask me, Dre, what were your favorite places to play? I always often get asked that question. I tell people off the court. One of my favorite places off the court was Mexico, simply because it was so unpredictable from day to day. I mean, literally every single day, you had no idea what was going to happen, whether it was you were going to have some run-in with the police, whether you were going to be at some nightclub and a fight was going to break out, what kind of the girls we were meeting out there, the kind of stuff that would happen on the court during the games. It was just the places that we were traveling to. It was very, very unpredictable. Now this is early in my career, so this is why I wasn't even 25 years old yet when I was in Mexico. So it was fun at that time. I don't know if I would be so open to it now, knowing all the things that I know now with all the experiences under my belt. But then it was actually very fun. But even to this day, when I'm traveling somewhere, when I travel to Europe in the summer of 2021, I'm in a country where I don't know the language. I'm with Anna. She knows the language. She's basically kind of navigating the entire thing because I can't communicate with most of the people. I can't ask them questions. I can't really talk to the Uber drivers, and most of the people are not speaking English. So it was kind of an unpredictable situation. Not that I didn't think, of course I trusted the people that I was around, but it was an unpredictable situation. Like if you think about it on an emotional level, on a mental level, you don't have control over the situation, and it's going to kind of go however it's going to go based on other people. How do you handle those situations when you're out of your routine, you're out of your normal space, you can't control things nearly as much as you are used to controlling things? What do you do in those situations? That's what we're talking about here today. So before I go into our points, let me tell you that I have a text line where you can text me. You should text me while you're listening today and tell me the best insight you got from today's masterclass. Is there something that you're going to do or think differently, something you're going to change in your life, or maybe something that you have thought of in the past, or maybe you knew about or were doing in the past, but now that I've said it here today, it reminded you of it? Tell me what that is. My number is 305-384-6894. If you have a question, you have a challenge, you have a rebuke of anything that I said, you can text me with that as well. When you do so, once you text me for whatever reason, you're going to become part of my texting community, and that means you're going to receive my daily motivation text message, which I send out every single day. And again, my number is 305-384-6894 to make sure you're in my texting community. Those daily motivation texts alone are worth it, and it doesn't cost you anything. So all that said, let's get into our points. Topic once again is how to handle unpredictable situations. Number one, trust your preparation as you will default to it anyway. So when I say trust your preparation, what I'm referring to is, let's say if for example, you're playing a sport. When you get into a sporting match, and I know there are a lot of athletes or people who work with athletes who listen to the show, when you get into a sporting match, you know that real life is going to alter the lab test. In other words, what happens in that game is going to be very different than what you trained for in practice. If you're in a combat sport, your training is not going to be anything like what's going to happen in that match, because you have no idea what that opponent is going to do. You play basketball, yeah, you can train and practice running the plays and doing your moves and stuff, but when you get in the game, it's a completely different situation, because the person that's guarding you or the person that you're guarding, they're not going to react the same way as that folding chair or the way that your coach or trainer reacted, or even the way that your teammates when they were playing defense against you. So in that moment, when you get into any type of stressful situation in life, and this is not, again, it's not just about sports, and it doesn't even necessarily have to be a situation that's super unpredictable and new to you, novel to you, but any situation in life when you are under stress, when you're not just at this normal, very calm, relaxed level of mental energy, you will default to your level of preparation. You will not, there's a saying that you don't rise to the occasion, you fall to the level of your preparation. And that's pretty much how it goes in life. So the more disciplined you are when you have control over that discipline, in other words, the stronger your relationship to the third day, which is my newest book. If you haven't gotten it yet, go to thirddaybook.com. The link is down below wherever you are consuming this. The more disciplined you are when you have control over that discipline, the more easily you can handle unpredictability when that unpredictability inevitably shows up in your life. Since we will all have some unpredictability come in our lives at different points, some of us engage with it much more often than others. Since it's going to happen, understand, and most of the time when there's unpredictability, you can't plan unpredictability, right? If it's planned, then it's not really unpredictable. The unpredictability is stuff that you don't even know when it's coming, how it's coming, what's going to happen. So the times when you already know it's happening, that's not the kind of unpredictability I'm talking about. I'm saying in the times of calm, the times of peace, as Sun Tzu says in The Art of War, in times of peace, prepare for war. And in times of war, plan for the peace. So when things are calm and you do have control over them, that's when you can have your routines. That's when you can have your practices in place and the things that you do every day and the stuff that you work on. That's when you get yourself ready for the moments when you might need to be doing something else. It's just like a country, when they're in a time of peace, they still train their soldiers. They still make sure the soldiers are ready for battle and ready for combat, because if and when some other country tries to invade them or something happens and they need to go on the attack or they need to go on the defensive, that's going to be too late of a point at which to start training their soldiers. So you start training your soldiers before you need the soldiers to be ready to actually fight. And it's the same thing for you. You train your body for a game. Let's say in the sport that you're playing, you train for the game before the day of the game. But you get yourself ready ahead of time. So when that thing does occur and you have no idea what your opponent's going to do or what's going to be asked of you in the heat of the moment, you're already ready for as many possibilities as possible. And this is something that I would always, or it reminds me of something I'd always tell basketball players back when I was making basketball videos. As players would watch my videos, they would see me in this empty gym doing these moves and practicing, and then they would say, well, Dre, when would I ever use that move in a game? Or how can I use that move in a game? Or what situation? Somebody may challenge me and say, well, Dre, what game situation would you do that particular move that you just posted here today? And I would explain to the players that that wasn't really the point. Now, I know some trainers train things differently. They say, okay, well, when you get in this game situation, here's the way that you do it, and here's the move that you do. I never explain things to players that way, and I'm also not a basketball trainer. I was just a player just showing people how to work on their games. But I would say to players is like this. You go to the gym and you practice just to build up your bag of tricks, to build up your skill set, or to build your bag, as a lot of sports analysts like to say these days, just having a bag. And your bag is just every skill that you have, every ability, all the things that you are capable of doing. That's why you practice. You practice so that you have the ability to shoot a three-pointer from the corner. You have the ability to make a layup with your left hand. You have the ability to do a post move and do a spin move out of the post and go up and dunk the basketball. The reason why you do the training is that you have all the abilities available to you, and that you are able and you know how to pull those moves off on instinct, because you have practiced and trained doing it over and over and over again. When you get into a game, however, you have no idea what the other player that you're playing against is going to do. You don't know how they're going to defend you. You don't know whether they're going to play off of you and want you to shoot, play up on you and put you in position to drive, whether you're going to need to dribble pass. You have no idea what you're going to do or what the live game situation is going to call for you to do. This is why you practice all the different skills so that when you get in a live game situation, whatever you need to call on yourself to do, you have the ability to do so. But you're not going to go into a game with it scripted out in your mind. Okay, if the defender does this, I'm going to do this. Or if I'm on defense and they do this, and I'm going to do this. You don't have the time in a live situation, just in life. This could be in basketball or any other aspect of life. In a live situation, many times in life, you don't have time to tell everybody, hey, everybody pause and stop doing what you're doing so I can think about how I should react to this situation, and then we'll all go back to live action. It doesn't work like that. You got to be able to react in a moment. This is why you train. So, of course, you want your training to simulate the live situation as best it possibly can, but there is no direct substitute for a live situation. And I know there are a lot of coaches, trainers, and athletes who listen to the show. I think all of us can agree that there is no amount of training. There is no training situation, no practice situation you can put an athlete in that is going to be exactly like the live game. All right, you can practice all you want and feel like you're in the best shape of your life. When you get into a game, it's a completely different world. And that's for anything. I don't care if you're an MMA fighter, whether you ride horses, whether you run track, you're a swimmer, a football, baseball, or basketball player. The training is not going to be just like the game. And this is why I would always tell athletes, one of the most important things you need to do is get game experience. Yes, practice. Yes, work on your game. Yes, have skills. Yes, watch Dre Baldwin videos on YouTube. But at the same time, you need to go play in some games so that you get some game experience and you know what it feels like to actually do these things in a game. The players who are best at playing in games are players who probably have done the most playing in games. That is not a coincidence. That's why you have to prepare, but also get the experience of actually being in that live situation. Again, this is all of life. And this is why I talked about a couple days ago. One of the ways that you make yourself interesting. What makes you an interesting person as well? What was the first point? Get experience. Go and do things. Not just reading about them, not just watching them, not just learning what everybody else did, but you yourself going and getting experience being in these situations. The more times you're in the situation, the better you'll be able to respond to that situation when it's happening. Instead of needing to react, you'll be able to respond because you've been there before. You've been there, you've literally been there. Or at least you've been there mentally, you've been there emotionally, you've been there spiritually. So the more disciplined you are when you do have control over the situation, i.e. your practice, the more easily you can handle it when you're in the unpredictable situation, i.e. real life, when those things inevitably occur and you didn't plan it and you didn't know when it was coming. For example, and again, this point has a very wide range of what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about performance and things that can happen maybe in sports, things that can happen in life, things that can happen in the military and war, but this can apply in many different aspects of life. I'll give you another example. It's easy for you, if you want to stay away from junk food when you're traveling if you already don't indulge in junk food when you're not traveling. In other words, a person who, if you're at home right now, I mean, you're in your home environment, meaning you know where the store is, you know how to order some food if you want, you know where to get some junk food if you wanted to get some junk food. If you can have the self-control to stay away from junk food when you're at home and you have the option available of getting whatever you want, it's much easier to stay away from junk food when you're traveling and on the road and maybe one of the only options you see is junk food. If you're used to always eating junk food, when you go on the road and all you see is junk food, of course you're going to indulge. But if you are able to have the discipline to stay away from it when you have the choice of doing whatever you want, it's much easier to stay away from it when you feel like you may not have as many other choices. And again, you can swap junk food for anything else. You can swap out alcohol. If you can stay away from alcohol when you're at home and you know exactly where the alcohol store is, but you stay away from that alcohol when you're traveling or you go to a wedding and everybody's drinking, it's easy to say no to the drinks. Why? Because you're used to saying no to drinks. When you have the option of drinking as much as you want, you say no to it because you're used to not doing it. Or, and again, you can swap this out for things that you are indulging in, things that you normally do. Someone who goes to the gym all the time and works out all the time, when you're traveling and you don't have access to your normal gym or your normal equipment or the people you usually train or work out with, you still find a way to work out, do you not? Why is that? Because you already built a habit. You have already built the discipline of doing it. The disciplines that you have in times of peace will show themselves, they will show themselves instinctively in times of war. Everybody follow me. If you're used to doing cardio on a regular basis, you don't get that tired when the elevator isn't working and you have to walk up 3 flights of stairs because you're used to doing that cardio. Now, the person who doesn't do any cardio, elevator doesn't work and they have to walk up 3 flights of stairs, they're half dead, halfway there. Why? Because they're not used to doing any cardio exercise. The routine and discipline you exercise when you have control over it allows you space to deal with the randomness, the inevitable randomness of life. That right there is the third day. So if you haven't claimed your copy of my book, it is called The Third Day. Go get it by going to thirddaybook.com. It's all about preparing yourself for the randomness of life in the times that things are not random. Point number 2. Today's topic, once again, is how to handle unpredictable situations. Remember something. It is not guaranteed that the world will adhere to your routine at all times. Actually, let me tell you what is guaranteed, is that the world will not adhere to your routine at all times. Now, you may be in a routine right now. For the last 90 days, everything's going perfect, exactly as you want it. You're doing everything at the same time, the same way, every single day. I'm the type of person who will do that when I have the time and space to do so. But understand, at some point, sooner rather than later, life is going to throw a wrench into your perfect plans and is going to make you do some unpredictable stuff that you weren't planning on doing. The routine and discipline that you exercise then will prepare you for that. The fact that life is not going to always adhere to what you want. It's guaranteed the world will not go along with your plans, okay? As they say, the best laid plans of mice and men often go awry. What routine does is prepare you for the non-routine stuff. Let me say that sentence again. Routine prepares you for the non-routine. Just like practice prepares you for the games, like any of you played a sport, you know. You get bored sometimes with practice because it's the same thing over and over and over again. But why do you do the same thing over and over again? So when you get into games, those things that you practice over and over again, the things that became monotonous and routine and kind of boring, you became very robotic. Guess what happens in the games? When you're in a stressful, unpredictable situation, you do those monotonous, routine, boring things without even thinking about it because they're drilled into your muscle memory. That's the reason why we practice. Do not expect things to always be routine in your life. They may be routine now. I guarantee that that's going to change at some point. As the saying goes, in life, you're either just finishing dealing with a situation, you're in the midst of a situation, or you're about to head into a situation that you don't even know what the situation is. Know that things will not stay routine, and that's why you prepare. All right, this is the seasoning of life, that there's going to be some type of non-routine thing that comes up. You don't know what it is, you don't know when it's coming or how you're going to have to deal with it. That's why you get ready. So whatever it is, you hope that you have the tools in place. And if you find out that you were wrong, then next time, make sure you don't make the same mistake. Point number 3. Today's topic, once again, is how to handle unpredictable situations. Maintaining your presence of mind. Now, everything we talked about so far in points number 1 and 2 contribute to your ability to maintain presence of mind. Would you agree that when you are highly prepared for something, it's much easier to remain calm in that situation when it comes? Would you agree that since you know things are not always going to stay routine, when something does go off script, it doesn't bother you as much as a person who thought everything was going to be routine when things do jump off? If you know something's going to eventually come, then you can handle things eventually coming. It's just like Seneca talked about in his book, Letters from a Stoic. Well, it's not really he didn't write it as a book. He wrote it as a bunch of letters and where he basically laid down the foundation of this philosophy that we call Stoicism. One of the things that Seneca talks about in that book is that every day you should meditate on things not being routine anymore. Meditate on something crazy happening. Meditate on your own death. Meditate on the fact that something is coming. You may not even know what it is, but you know it's going to be something, so that when that something does come, it doesn't throw you off as much as the person who is expecting everything to just stay the same. That's the point that I'm making here. That's how you can maintain your presence of mind. When you know something's coming, you know it's going to be unpredictable, you know it's going to challenge you, you know it might put you under some level of stress. The more prepped you are for that physically and mentally, the better you'll be able to handle that situation without going crazy. Now, look at your life. Have you been in any situations? I think all of us have been. In situations where we didn't understand this, we were not very well prepared mentally, physically, or emotionally, and then some unpredictable shit happened, and it threw us all off, and we were looking at ourselves in the mirror when that was over, like, what the hell just happened? And hopefully, being that you work on your game, you realize you have to look in the mirror and say, you know what? I wasn't ready for that. I was not prepared for that. let me be prepared next time. And then the next time something crazy popped off, you are a lot more prepared for it and thusly are much better able to handle it because you have been in this situation now. Can I get an amen to that? Anyone who has been in this situation before, text me again, 385-384-6894, and let me know if you understand what I'm talking about. Any of you who's played a sport, maybe when you were practicing in that sport, you started to feel really comfortable in practice and getting ready for the game, but then you got in the game and it was a whole different environment than what you thought it was going to be, and you were like, damn, it was completely different than what we were doing in practice. But now, since you got the game experience, now you have a little bit of activity knowledge. Now, the next time you go back to practice, think about this. When you go back to practice, you practice a little bit differently because now you see how the practice can get you ready for the game. Now you look at it a little bit differently. Now you might value it a little bit more. Now you might do things slightly differently in your practice because you see how it's preparing you for the game or how your previous practice did not quite prepare you for the game based on what happened. Any of you coaches out there, I think you know this very well. I mean, it's pretty much your job. When you see your players weren't ready for the game, maybe it was something in their preparation that didn't have them ready, and I would assume a coach as a leader would take responsibility for that. Or how did I not have these players prepared? And the players should take responsibility as well. How was I not prepared? And if both take responsibility, then the whole unit gets stronger. So this point, maintaining your presence of mind. Understand that in the moment of unpredictability that is inevitable in life, the calmest, most composed and poised person in the room is the leader. Not the best performer, not the highest paid person, not the person with the job title. The person who's the most calm and the most poised. They're the leader. Why? Because everybody else is losing their heads. So how do you become this person? Well, it's just like we talked about in points number 1 and 2. Prior preparation. Meditate on the fact that there is going to be some unpredictability. Maybe you have an idea what it's going to look and feel like. Meditate on that, meaning think deeply about what it's going to be like. Things like meditation itself, yoga, these are things that practice your body and mind for being calm and centered. This is something that I've talked about in the past, that people who meditate or do yoga, I do both every single day. The purpose of doing meditation and yoga is not really about the 10 minutes or the hour or the 30 minutes of meditation and yoga that you do. It's a practice. The reason why we call meditation and yoga practices and not sciences is because you're practicing a calm and relaxed state. Why do you want to practice a calm and relaxed state? So that when your meditation and yoga are over and you go out into the chaotic world of randomness and something random happens and some shit pops off and things go completely off script, the 30 or 10 or 20 minutes you take every day practicing calm and relaxation, it will start to kick in automatically, unconsciously. Why? Because you practice it. You're prepared for it. You made a habit out of doing it, so your body and mind will be more ready to go into a calm state instead of you getting all anxious and out of control like many people do in life when the situation goes off script. That's why yoga and meditation matter so much. So when some crazy shit happens, you can go there habitually. You don't even have to think about it. You don't have to tell yourself to do it because you've already practiced it for 30 minutes every day. Now, just do what you've already prepared for. So in moments of crisis in life, again, you do not rise to the occasion. You fall to the level of your training. Point number 4. Today's topic, once again, is how to handle unpredictable situations. Enjoy the ride. Every life needs a little bit of variety every now and then. So this is something that I talk about also in the 3rd day. Again, if you haven't gotten the book, the link's down below. Being disciplined does not mean that you have to do the same things every single day, all the time, and never break from your routine no matter what's going on. Even though is a big part of it, to not break from a routine when you need to. But every human life needs throw a little bit of spice in there every now and then. Because then life can get very boring and monotonous, even for someone who's highly disciplined like myself. Need a little bit of variety. That unpredictability that you throw into your life every now and then means having a new experience under your belt every now and then, getting a new story to tell, a new perspective to share. See, if you're just doing the same thing over and over again, the same way, the same time every day, eventually you're going to run out of things to talk about. Eventually you're going to run out of things to share. Eventually you become uninteresting because you do not have any new experiences. You're experiencing the same thing every day, like Groundhog's Day, right? So you got to do something different every now and then, even if you're disciplined. But this is the beauty of it. The discipline is what offers you the freedom to go and do something that's outside of the normal routine, because you can jump right back into the routine without missing a step because you've been so disciplined up to this point. And again, remember, life is unpredictable. Eventually, life is going to throw a wrench into your plans anyway, so you might as well just throw the wrench in there yourself so that you can get used to it. You don't have to wait for life to put you in an unpredictable situation. You can put yourself in at least a somewhat unpredictable situation. I mean, you did it, so it's not that unpredictable, but you understand what I'm saying here. You can throw yourself off your own routine every now and then just to keep yourself on your toes. This will better prepare you for when life does it, because life is going to do it, even though you don't know how or when. Since you probably didn't make that situation, again, when you get in an unpredictable situation, you usually have some prediction over it because, again, you're doing it. But when that unpredictable life situation happens, you don't have any control over it. So don't fight the fact that it's unpredictable. Go with the energy of the situation. Again, remember your calm relaxation practices of meditation and yoga that hopefully you've been doing on a consistent basis. I think I did an episode on meditation here on this show. I've talked about a lot of stuff on this show, so let me make sure I did. Yes, I did. Episode 1476, why you need a meditation practice in your life. Again, that's episode 1476. Like Bruce Lee, the famous combat fighter, says, you need to become water in your life. When you put water in a cup, it becomes the cup. Put water in a bottle, it becomes the bottle. And what Bruce was saying, he went on to say this, paraphrasing, be formless, be shapeless, become whatever situation that you're in. Think about nothing, become nothing, just become the situation. That's a state of calm meditation. Now, I don't know that much about Bruce Lee. Maybe some of my listeners do. Please text me and let me know. But I think Bruce Lee I think Bruce Lee had a meditation practice. I think Bruce Lee had a yoga practice. I can tell just by the way that he talked and the things that he said, these very ideas: be calm, be relaxed, be in the moment. Don't think about anything. Don't try to control the moment. Flow with the moment. While at the same time being a great combat fighter, that's a state of meditation. That's a state of Zen that anyone can get in with proper preparation. Let's recap today's class, which is how to handle unpredictable situations. So all of us are going to get into unpredictability in life. Sometimes it is thrown at us by other humans. Sometimes life throws it at us. Sometimes we put ourselves there. Sometimes it just happens randomly. How do you handle it? Point number one, trust your preparation, because you will default to your preparation anyway. All right, so that means do the preparation, because you're going to default to that. That's what you're going to be stuck with when you get in an unpredictable situation. So if you're unprepared, then you may be headed for the edge of the waterfall and not even realize that you're headed for it. The more easily you can get into discipline in times of peace, the more ready you will be in times of war. For example, it's easier to stay away from junk food when you're traveling, and that's all they give you is junk food, than if you don't indulge in junk food when you're at home and you have options to do whatever you want. If you're used to doing cardio on a regular basis and then one day you got to walk up 3 flights of stairs, it doesn't kill you. But if you're not used to doing cardio, then it might hurt you because you're not used to doing it. So the routine and the discipline you exercise when you have control allows you space for randomness. Again, that is the very essence of the third day mentality. Point number two, remember that it's not guaranteed that the world is going to adhere to your routine. The world does not care about your plans. It is guaranteed, as a matter of fact, that the world will not go along with your plans. What routine does is prepare you for the not routine stuff. The more consistently you go and work out every day, the better it'll be when you stop working out for 3 weeks and then need to get back in the gym that first day back. It'll be easier for you to get back in shape than the person who never worked out and then they try to go back to the gym, because they have no basis. You have a foundation already in place. Do not expect things to always be routine. Actually guarantee yourself that at some point your routine will be thrown off based on something that has nothing, that is not under your control at all. Point number three, maintaining your presence of mind. In a moment of unpredictability, the most calm and composed person is the leader. How do you become this? By prior preparation, by meditating on the fact that you will not have control over your life and allowing yourself to flow in the moment of whatever occurs. In moments of crisis, you do not rise to the occasion, you fall to the level of your preparation. Number four, enjoy the ride. Every life needs a little bit of variety every now and then. This unpredictability means a new experience under your belt, a new story to tell, a new perspective to share. And since you probably didn't make the situation unpredictable on purpose, that means you don't control it, so don't fight it. Like Bruce Lee said, go with the energy, become water, become the cup. Put water in a bottle, it becomes the bottle. Put water in a cup, it becomes the cup. Be formless, be shapeless. Be water, my friend. Send me a text. My number, 305-384-68 9-4. Work on your game. Dre all